Next thing I'm going to do is hit in the bottom right hand corner where it says View Fields. I'm going to go ahead and tap that. And it's going to essentially bring up the crop planning screen. And here you're going to pick whatever fields that you want to start building prescriptions on. So let's say we're going to start on corn. I'm going to select this field in the middle. And here you're going to have the opportunity to look at some of your basic soil test values. So right now I can see what what the pH is of this field. I can see what my current phos levels look like. I can see what my K levels look like. I can see what some historical yield data on this farm. I see some grow zone ranking. So I'm ready to start building prescriptions. On the right hand side where it says products, I'm going to tap the products button. And what I typically like to do at this juncture, especially if I'm dealing with someone that has minimal or limited experience in variable rate, I'll model what they typically do on their corn program. So let's say that, for example, in his typical corn program, he has put out a ton of lime maybe every year, every other year. So if he's been putting it out every other year, I'm going to assume that, hey, we're going to put 1,000 pounds of lime out. I'm going to flat rate that this year. We move over to phos. Let's say that he usually uses a dry phosphorus fertilizer and that he puts out, let's call it 150 pounds flat rate of DAP typically. We move over to potash. What do you do, Mr. Farmer, typically on potash? He tells you, oh, I usually put out 200 pounds of potash every year. Okay, great. What do you do on your nitrogen? You may say, well, I've already got 100 units out there. I would probably throw another 150 pounds of urea out there. Okay, cool. We can model that. What do you do on seed? I typically flat rate at 31,000 seeds per acre. Okay, great. So I just built his traditional flat rate corn program, fertility program, and also seeding. And if I hit my yield goal of 160 bushels and use this current plan, I'm setting myself up to lose $43 an acre this year. Not a situation that most guys want to find themselves in, but unfortunately a situation that a lot of guys do find themselves in. They don't know how much it's going to cost on this particular field with the program they're currently using. So the next thing we're going to do is kind of circle back. So I'm going to toggle back, hitting the arrow left key all the way back to lime and model, okay, what will it cost if we variably apply some of these products? So next thing I'm going to do is I can either tap the min or the max button at the bottom. I'm going to hit reset and then tap minimum applied and then reset again. Hit apply. And it's going to bring up what the variable rate prescription looks like on this case. So this farm might be a little bit of an anomaly where it's only calling for lime on one particular zone. There's only one zone that's needing anything. But I can see that, right now I'm only $13 in the hole because I saved a decent amount of money on my liming program. I can also see where it says L rate, 20 pounds per acre. That's averaged across the entire farm. And then how many tons I'm going to need, 3.2 tons. All right, moving over to phos. I'm going to tap the min and max feature again. Tap minimum applied, then hit reset, and then hit apply, and it's going to bring back what the typical rec would look like if I was going to variable rate to achieve my goals. So because this is going into corn, I can compare, what does it look like if I'm going to use MAP or if I'm going to use triple super. What if it's going to cost if I use my special corn blend? Probably not a good idea. So the $24, $27, $32, that's what's going to cost per acre to put out these different products to achieve our needs using this prescription. So let's say I like the idea of putting out some nitrogen with either MAP or DAP, so I don't want to use triple super even though it's a little bit cheaper. And you can see here it says the different rates. I've got some areas that are calling for 0, some areas 25, some 6.7, all the way up to 157. Well, if I'm going to use a dry spreader, I've got to be thinking, all right, there's some equipment limitations here in order to actually execute upon this prescription. I'm going to tap this min and max here. I know that if I put anything less than 75, my spread pattern is going to head south very, very quickly. So start out with, what's it going to cost if everywhere that was below 75, I bring up to 75. So we're looking right now at $29.06. It's kind of my baseline that I know this prescription will work with the machinery, and I know it'll also achieve my agronomic goals. I'm also going to see that the average rate's 105 pounds an acre, and if I do this particular prescription, I'm going to need 15.5 tons. Well, let's look and see what some of the other options are. This applies 0 if Rx is less than min, is basically going to round down everything that the rec is calling for that is below 75 down to 0. So we were at $29. This brings us down to $24. So instantly, we're having a discussion on how we can play with this $5, a $5 swing. So what happens if we keep 0 rates and we apply 75 if it's anywhere from 0 to 75? See how much that's going to cost. It's going to cost us $28. So we've got a $4 decision here to make. And then we've already modeled what it's going to cost at different flat rates. So what I would probably do, because this is going into corn, this is where you're going to have that a philosophy discussion with the farmer on like, hey, what are you thinking here? It's going to cost you probably $8 to just run across the field anyway. Maybe he's got a split brin spreader, so it's not going to matter as much. But he likes the idea of getting some nitrogen out there, in MAP. So maybe we're going to go with this $29 option. And you can see that we're at 0 right now. So we're climbing towards the green. Move over to FOSS here by just hitting the right arrow key. Going to hit the min or max button. Hit min applied, hit reset, hit apply. And here you can see we've got a similar situation. There's some rates that are 0, 45, and 95. So really all we're worried about is the 0 and 45s because we've got to fit within the limitations of our equipment. But we're also crawling in the green here at $23 an acre positive profit, and we still haven't worked through nitrogen or seeding yet. So let's see. Right now, let's change the minimum to 75. Right now, our baseline is at 21.80. Let's check and see what happens if we put 0 around everything from 75 down to 0, how much that's going to cost. Okay, that changes down to $13. What's going to happen if we keep 0 rates, apply 75, if it's between 0 and 75, it's going to cost us $15. And we've already modeled what it's going to cost at a flat rate. So, what we're creating here is a logic. It's similar parameters, similar products. And how I like to think of this is, perhaps you've got a farm that you own. And maybe you're interested in building the fertility levels up on that farm. What if you have another farm that you rent and maybe it's for sale right now? So you have no idea if you're going to be farming it next year. So you might not be as inclined, given the current commodity prices out there and current fertilizer price out there, you might not be as inclined to build up those fertility levels. You can see exactly how much it's going to cost you. So we're looking at between $15 and $21, so a $6 swing, across, this 295 acres. I mean, we're talking about a significant amount of money here. So, this is where you and the farmer have to decide what you want to do. So let's say on this one, we're going to apply 0. We're going to go with the cheaper route, just given the kind of the dynamics of the economy right now. Move over to nitrogen, do the same thing. Put this at 75, and we can see that, right now that's going to cost us $33. To compare apples to apples, I can compare urea versus ESN. I can quickly see that, an encapsulated product is going to be about, $9 more expensive, but is it worth it? You can also compare, a liquid versus dry, since I selected that earlier as an option. What's going to cost if I use 32%? So maybe you like the idea of going with urea. And move over to seeding now. Right now we've got it modeled at 31,000 seeds per acre. Well, what happens if we go with a little bit of a cheaper seed and we actually use prescription, but then you're looking at it, you're like, well, I don't really like the idea of going as low as 25. I can quickly change that minimum to 26. Maybe I like the idea of going all the way up to 33. Hit apply. Now we're looking at, according to this plan, if we hit our 160 bushel yield goal, we're looking at making $51 per acre. Quite different than the flat rate plan that we came up with earlier.